In a monastery nestled high in the mist-laden mountains, lived a young monk named Kale. He was dedicated, intelligent, and quick to learn the scriptures. But a restless spirit churned within him. His mind, like a restless monkey, leaped from one thought to another, never finding a moment of peace. He would sit for meditation, but his legs would ache for movement. He would chant the sutras, but his thoughts would wander to the world outside the monastery walls. His master, an old wise abbot with eyes that held the depth of a calm lake, observed Kale's struggle. He saw the young monk's earnestness, but also his profound lack of patience. Kale wanted enlightenment, and he wanted it now. He saw spiritual practice as a ladder to be climbed quickly, not a path to be walked with mindful steps. One morning, after a particularly frustrating meditation session where Kale couldn't still his mind for even a few breaths, he sought out the abbot. "Master," Kale began, his voice tight with frustration, "I feel I am failing. I try to meditate, but my mind is a storm. I read the texts, but the words feel empty. I practice the forms, but my body is restless. Perhaps I am not meant for this life. Perhaps my spirit is too wild for these walls." The abbot listened, a gentle smile playing on his lips. He didn't offer comforting words or complex philosophical answers. Instead, he said, "Kale, tomorrow at dawn we will take a journey. Pack some water and a simple meal. We are going to visit the Great Silent Mountain." Kale was puzzled. The Great Silent Mountain was a formidable peak that loomed over their valley, a sheer, unyielding wall of rock and ice. No one ever went there. It was said to be barren, lifeless, and impossible to climb. What wisdom could be found in a desolate place like that? Still, he trusted his master. He bowed and went to prepare for the journey. The next morning, under a sky painted with the soft hues of dawn, Kale and the abbot set out. The path was steep and winding, and the air grew thin and cold as they ascended. Kale, in his youthful vigor, moved quickly, often finding himself waiting for the old abbot, who walked with a slow, deliberate pace, his staff tapping a steady rhythm on the rocky ground. "Master, why do you walk so slowly?" Kale asked, his impatience bubbling up. "At this rate, we won't reach the base of the mountain until midday." The abbot simply smiled and replied, "The mountain is not going anywhere, Kale, and neither are we. Observe the path. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Listen to the morning birds. The journey is not a race to the destination." Kale tried to follow his master's advice, but his mind was already up the mountain, wondering about the purpose of this strange pilgrimage. When they finally arrived at the foot of the Great Silent Mountain, Kale was awestruck and a little intimidated. It was even more immense up close, a colossal giant of stone that seemed to pierce the heavens. Its face was a sheer cliff with no visible path or handhold. It was utterly silent, save for the whisper of the wind that whipped around its peak. They sat down on a flat rock. The abbot took a long sip of water and looked up at the mountain. Kale did the same, his eyes scanning the vast rock face, searching for something, he didn't know what. They sat in silence. An hour passed, then two. The sun climbed higher in the sky. Kale's restlessness returned with a vengeance. His legs began to cramp. He shifted his weight, coughed, and cleared his throat. "Master," he finally broke the silence, unable to bear it any longer, "what are we doing here? There is nothing but rock and wind. What is there to learn from this barren place?" The abbot turned to him, his expression serene. "We are here to ask the mountain a question." He then turned back towards the towering peak and called out in a clear, resonant voice, "Oh, great mountain, tell us the secret to unwavering peace. Tell us the path to profound stillness." His voice echoed and then faded, swallowed by the immense silence. There was no answer, only the wind. Kale stared at his master, bewildered. Was this a joke? They came all this way for the abbot to shout at a rock? His frustration grew. They sat for another hour. Kale's mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. He thought about the chores waiting at the monastery, the texts he hadn't finished, the other monks who were probably engaged in more productive practice. This felt like a complete waste of time. Finally, he couldn't hold back. "Master, with all due respect, the mountain is not going to answer you. It is just a mountain, a lifeless pile of rock. It has no wisdom to give." The abbot looked at Kale, his eyes twinkling. "Are you sure, Kale? Does it not answer?" He gestured towards the peak. "Look at it." It has been standing here for thousands of years. It has endured scorching suns, freezing winters, violent storms, and the relentless wind. It has been struck by lightning and shaken by the earth, and yet it remains. It does not complain. It does not hurry, it does not resist. It simply is, he continued, his voice calm and steady. It does not get frustrated when the clouds hide the sun. It does not become arrogant when its peak is the first to be kissed by the dawn. It stands in silent, unwavering presence. It holds space for the eagles to soar and the snow to rest. Its silence is not emptiness, Kale. It is a profound state of being. Its answer is not in words, but in its very existence. Kale looked at the mountain again, but this time he saw it differently. He saw the centuries etched into its stony face. He saw the resilience in its towering form. He imagined the countless storms it had weathered without flinching. He saw the quiet dignity in its stillness. It didn't need to speak. Its presence was the teaching. The abbot spoke again. You want to still the storm in your mind, Kale. You try to fight your thoughts, to force them into submission. But look at the mountain. Does it fight the wind? No, it lets the wind blow around it. The wind howls and screams, but the mountain remains unmoved. Your thoughts are like the wind. Your restlessness is like the storm. Do not fight them. Do not be carried away by them. Instead, become the mountain. Be the silent, unwavering presence in the midst of it all. Tears welled up in Kale's eyes. In that moment, something shifted within him. He understood. Patience wasn't about waiting for something to happen. It was about being fully present in the waiting. Stillness wasn't the absence of thought. It was the ability to be the calm witness to the mind's activity, just as the mountain witnessed the changing weather. He took a deep breath, and for the first time, he didn't try to force his mind to be quiet. He simply sat. He felt the ache in his legs, and he acknowledged it without judgment. He heard the whisper of the wind, and he listened to it as a song. He observed the thoughts that came and went in his mind, like clouds passing in front of the great mountain. And beneath it all, he felt a deep, quiet stillness that had been there all along, a stillness he had been too restless to notice. They sat there until the sun began to set, painting the sky in fiery colors. The great silent mountain seemed to glow, absorbing the light and radiating a powerful, peaceful energy. When they finally stood up to leave, Kale bowed deeply to the mountain and then to his master. "Thank you, master," he said, his voice filled with a newfound calm. "The mountain has taught me more than any scripture." The abbot placed a hand on his shoulder. "The mountain was always there, Kale. The teacher was always within you. You just needed to be still enough to listen." As they walked back down the path in the gathering twilight, Kale no longer rushed ahead. He walked with the same slow, deliberate pace as his master, feeling the earth beneath his feet, listening to the sounds of the evening, his heart as vast and silent as the mountain he left behind. He had gone seeking a quick path to enlightenment and had instead found the profound wisdom of patience, not in a sacred text or a complex ritual, but in the simple, silent, and steadfast presence of a mountain. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores the deeper aspects of life. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below.